Using a 19mm socket, let's go ahead and remove our lug nuts. Remove the wheel and set it aside. Using our 14mm socket, we're going to go ahead and remove this bolt and our lower bolt on our caliper. Using a pry tool, go ahead and work our caliper off. Once that's free, I want to go ahead and use a hanger to go ahead and support this and hold this up and out of the way. I'm just going to hook this up onto our strut spring. Go ahead and let that hang there. Let's remove our brake pads. Go ahead and gently slide those out of our slide brackets or shims. And set your pads aside. Using a 13mm socket, let's go ahead and remove the 2 caliper bracket bolts here. Once we remove our second bolt, that caliper bracket should be loose, so you want to hold on to that while you're doing this. Remove the bracket and remove your bolt. On our rotor face here, our particular vehicle has a T30 torque screw right here. If your vehicle does not have this, it's not critical to the operation of the brakes. We're going to go ahead and remove that. And our rotor is stuck on there a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and give this a few bonks and loosen that up. Go ahead and remove that rotor and set it aside. We're going to use a piece of cardboard, and we're going to put a little bit of anti-seize compound on the hub face itself. Reason why we're using the cardboard is, well, we don't want to get any anti-seize compound on our brake pads on the back side or our braking components for our e-brake. You'll go to install a new rotor. You want to go ahead and make sure that you have your recessed hole lined up with the hole in the hub if you're going to be reusing your Torx bit screw. Now, if you're having a hard time getting your brake rotor on, there's a possibility that the adjuster on the bottom needs to be tweaked a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and collapse our brakes here by rotating the sprocket or the gear on the back here. And you want to just keep on adjusting that and trying your rotor until that pops on. Let's go ahead, and if you have your Torx screw here to hold the rotor to the hub, you can go ahead and install that now. If you don't have it, it's not critical to the operation. So we're going to take our brake caliper bracket here, and we want to go ahead and pop our pad slides off. Do that on both sides. We have our rubber boots here. I'll go ahead and pull these out. When you take these out, you want to go ahead and roll them, pinch them, squeeze them, and look for any type of tears or damage. If they are damaged, you want to go ahead and have these replaced. Go down and buy some new ones and put them in. These actually protect the slide pins from dirt and water and stuff like that. So you want to make sure that these will seal up nice. Ours look good, so we're going to reuse those. Where the slide pins go, we're going to put a little bit of solvent in those there. We're going to use our little mini bore brush, and we're going to go ahead and clean this out. What we're doing is clean out any type of old grease or anything that might be scaly or debris in there. Our boots were still pretty good, so I can't expect too much would be coming out of these here. Empty those out. Wipe out the solvent that is around the edges here as much as you can. Next, you want to go ahead and take that bracket, grab your brush, your bristle brush here, wire brush, whatever you have, and wipe down or clean up the rusty, scaly stuff that might be where your slides will go. If you have a small flat file, you can use that as well. Clean everything up there. You want to do this on both sides. Next, we want to go ahead and clean up our slide pins here. You can see we have some old grease on that. I'll normally just spray the solvent on a rag and wipe this down, clean it up. Inspect that slide pin shaft for any type of rust, any scoring, debris, anything like that that would keep these from smoothly moving in and out of the caliper bracket. Do the same for the other one. Now before reassembly, we're going to take a little bit of grease and we're going to put that inside where the slide pins go. And we don't want to pack grease in there. We do want to get some inside where the pin is going to go. Next, we want to take our boots, line those up, and pop those into place. Once those are in place, just wipe down any of the excess grease around the perimeter here. Take your slide pins, thin, light coating on these here. Go ahead, line those up and work those in. Okay, and those are working perfect. I'm just going to pop these out. I'm going to set those aside. We're going to install those afterwards. I'm going to apply a thin coat of grease where our shims are going to ride. Line those up, press them down into place. Do a visual inspection, make sure that the shims are nice and tight up against the bracket. Repeat for the other side. Install your caliper bracket. Slide this into place. And we did clean up our threads on our bolt here, and we put a little bit of blue Loctite on those threads. So we can get that lined up and start threading that in. Do the same for the bottom bolts here. I like to thread these in as far as I can, and then we'll go ahead and snug those down. Let's go ahead and torque these bolts down to 88 foot-pounds. Now what we're going to do is we want to go ahead and compress our piston into our caliper. Before we do this, we're going to have a catch can or some towels underneath the vehicle. We're going to take our 10mm wrench and we're going to open up our bleeder screw here. You can see some brake fluid is starting to come out. Now we're going to use our tool and we're going to compress the piston back in, and the brake fluid is going to come out. And what we're doing here is we're just relieving the pressure on the inside of that caliper. Once that piston is completely pressed in, we're going to go ahead and remove that tool. Tighten up that bleeder screw. And then clean it all up. Now we can go ahead and install our brake pads here. Going to line up our pad with our little slider here. Move this into place. Pop that in. I'm going to go ahead and repeat for the inboard pad. Let's go ahead and grab our caliper, remove it off the hanger, remove the hanger from the vehicle, and let's go ahead and get this lined up and into place. Our slide pins that we had cleaned and lubed earlier, I'm going to go ahead and line this up. Get our slide pin installed here, and we'll go ahead and repeat for the bottom. Get those started a few threads, and then we'll go ahead and snug those down. Now we're going to torque down our slide pin bolts at 32 foot-pounds. Now at this point, you want to go ahead and hop in the vehicle, apply the brakes, pump up the brakes a couple times. Then you want to go ahead under the hood and we want to go ahead and inspect our brake fluid level and adjust that as necessary. Go ahead and install your wheel. Get our lug nuts started by hand, and then we'll go ahead and snug those down. Let's go ahead and torque our lugging this down to 100 foot-pounds.